a reinterpretation of humanity's interaction with machinery. Technology can actually be ours and not a cold, alienating thing.
We are not reenactors or even recreationists. We are reimaginers.
Steampunk is telling us we need to reimagine what we want from our technology in the future.
It forces you to look back in order to look forward.
That is a trailer from a new documentary called Vintage Tomorrows, and in it, it's featured Brian David Johnson, and he's on the set with me now here on Digits. I'm Simon Constable. Thank you for joining us here, and it's all about how when we want technology, the latest thing, we also want the oldest thing too, which is a bit of a paradox.
Right.
So can you explain that?
Well, that's what this project Vintage Tomorrows is all about. There's the great documentary by Bird McDonald, this great director, and then also I paired, so being a futurist, I paired with a cultural historian to look at this phenomenon. And we found that when people love new technology, they love new technology, but to embrace new technology and to really bring it into our lives, it has to have an anchor to the past.
Now, your day job is not making documentaries, it's Intel Futurist, so you look at the way technology is embraced by people. Do you think that, you know, when we look to the past and we want to embrace that past, it's because we're not very happy with the present right now?
I think it's our on-ramp. I actually think the past gives us a way to understand the future. We actually feel comfortable with the past. This is something that we understand. And the future for a lot of people can be a little bit scary or can be a little bit faceless or nameless. So by anchoring it to the past, it helps us make sense of where we're going.
And we do that with, we sort of make things like, I mean, it's funny, I didn't even realize this until we were doing this. So I got this thing, the Union Jack, but it's all faded and stuff distressed. Like it's been, but it's brand new. I guess it's for the antique iPhone. Why is that so appealing to me?
Well, because I think it speaks to the humanity in us. I think you look at something like this, and not only is it about a country, but it also has some wear to it. It's been around, it's been in our lives. And I think when it comes to technology, especially now, I mean, technology is doing amazing stuff. I mean, this piece of technology is faster than faster than the computer I learned to program on. So it's crazy fast.
And I think there's more technology in this than there was in the lunar module that took man to the moon, which seemed to be made out of tin foil and coat hangers.
And so how do we get our heads around that, right? What's the mental model? How do we understand it? How do we make it comfortable so that we can put it in our pocket? So what we do is we put a flag on it. We give it some humanity. We want our technology to have a sense of humor. We want it to have a sense of history, and we also want it to have a sense of our humanity. We want it to be made by somebody.
Is that something that's happening now that's new? Because I remember when a lot of things were coming out, that when a lot of technology was new, it was clean lines, it was cold, it was efficient. I'm thinking the 70s, sort of the mass transistor radios that were coming out then, and then when hi-fi became massively available, right?
Well, I think what's happened is the change came around 2005 or 2007, and it has a lot to do with these. It has a lot to do with carrying these incredible pieces of technology in our pockets. Before, technology was something over there. In the beginning, it was in a room someplace else, and then it was over on the desk. But now, we sleep with our smartphones next to our beds. We carry them around with us. You have whole generations that have grown up with smartphones in their pockets. That means we have a very different requirement. We have a very different expectation of the relationship that we're going to have with that technology. And as Intel's Futurist, so that's incredibly important.
It's like your clothing in a way. Is that sort of what you're saying?
Yeah, well, it's a part of your life, just like your watch or your belt or basically everything that's about you as a person. It's very much a personal computing device.
Now, do we like humor to be injected into the way we look at things, technology?
Well, Simon, I think you can never
forget. Because I have no sense of humor when my computer crashes. I have absolutely none. At that point, when it's my stuff and it's going, right?
But it should have a sense of humor, right? I think that's it. I think we tend to forget that humans are funny, right? We make jokes, and jokes is how, or jokes are, and humor is how we connect with each other. So why wouldn't our technology have a sense of humor? And then we could connect with it better. It could understand us better. I mean, you look at things like when Siri came out, people didn't really talk about how it was a great voice search engine. What they talked about was the jokes. And I think that allows us to have that very different relationship with our technologies.
Talk about Instagram. I mean, that's where you have this great camera in here that a few years ago would have been $500, $600, $700.
Right.
And you take a photo of it and it's sharp as anything, and then you degrade that.
And I think Instagram a great example, a mainstream example of what we're talking about. So you saw in the documentary and in the book, it's about steampunk and making and hacking and old technologies. But from a mainstream standpoint, it's exactly what Instagram is doing. You're taking this super high res, this incredibly detailed picture, and you're detuning it. You're basically dumbing it down, again, so that we give it some humanity. That's exactly what it does, right? There's the retro setting and the toy box setting.
Is that partly because, I mean, one of my big frustrations with technology of the years was that it rarely measured up to the description on the box. You'd look at the box and you'd read it, it says, does this, 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 and this. You'd get it out and it wouldn't. I'm not going to name names, but I think we know what I'm talking about. And then these things, these smartphones, and not just Apple products, but across the board, they basically do what is described on the box. Is it because we've got to that point that now we want them to be less than perfect and sort of?
See, not only that, I think we've gotten to the point where, especially as we move into the future, they're only going to get better. And it's going to give them the ability to relate to us on a very human level. These can relate to us on a very human level. We can take our smartphone or our tablet or even some of the new Ultrabooks and actually be able to interact with them in a very personal level. But it's only going to increase, and that's one of the things that I'm fascinated with. Is if we think about it.
This is really continuing to go. Then that's what you're saying.
And that's the thing why this was so important to me, because I'm looking 10, 15 years out. That's the thing that I'm really focused on. And so looking at these things kind of going on in our culture, like steampunk, like Instagram, to me tells me that there's something different going on in our relationship.
And one last question here. Do you think we'll ever sort of want to back away from the technology? Will I say, well, I've had enough of the laptop, I'm going to get the old mechanical typewriter with a cast iron thing, and it'll be like a machine gun going off, and I'll be going brrr, like that?
You can actually buy that today. You can actually buy putting those things in there. I think it.
No, I was actually thinking of the actual machine.
The actual machine itself. I think it comes down to choice. I always think if you bet on choice, because choice always wins. And so I think for people, they are going to want different devices because people have different desires. And I think it's our goal to make lots of different things so people can have their choice.
Okay. Great stuff. Always love it when you're on the show. You're on before, and we really appreciate it. Brian David Johnson, Intel Futurist, and the subject of a new documentary, and you have a new book out. And my God, you are busy, aren't you? Thank you very much. There you are.